Pick up 2 blocks of butter at your grocery store right now. Same gold wrapper, same word butter, printed across the front in the same confident block letters. Same picture of a green pasture and a happy cow on the label. One of them came from a cow within the last 2 weeks. The other one has never been within 100 miles of a cow that wasn't standing on a marketing photo. And the label on both of them is legally allowed to say butter. That is not a scandal I am making up. That is the actual rule. I want you to remember that while I tell you the rest of this. My name is Volter. I run a dairy operation in Wisconsin that has been in my family for 3 generations. I milk cows every morning before the sun is up, and I've watched real cream turn into real butter in a churn since I was 8 years old, standing on a milk crate so I could see over the edge. I'm going to show you in the next few minutes exactly how to tell the real thing from the imposter sitting right next to it on the same shelf for free, using nothing but the label the company is already required to print. Then I'm going to tell you the part that ought to bother you, which is that the dairy industry has known how confusing this shelf is for at least 15 years, and almost nobody has fixed it because the confusion is where the money is. Stay with me. Here's the first thing you need to understand, and once you understand it, you will never look at a butter aisle the same way again. The United States government has a legal definition of the word butter. It is not a marketing word. It is federal law on the books, and it says a product can only be called butter if it is made exclusively from milk or cream, nothing else. And it has to contain at least 80% milk fat by weight. That's it. 2 ingredients, cream and salt, or cream alone if it's unsalted. No oil, no water added for volume, no natural flavor, no gums, no emulsifiers, no yellow dye to fake the color real grass-fed cream gives for free. If a product doesn't meet that standard, the company is not supposed to call it butter. They're supposed to call it a spread or a blend or a buttery something. And most of them do follow that rule on the fine print. But they don't follow it on the marketing. They follow it in 6-point type on the side of the package. While the front of the package, the part you see from 4 feet away, in a hurry with a cart full of kids, says butter, shows a farm, shows a cow, and costs almost the same price as the real thing sitting 1 shelf over. That's the whole trick. It's not that companies are breaking the law. It's that they found the exact edge of the law and built a product to sit right on top of it, dressed up to look like the thing next to it that actually earned the name. I did the math on my own local grocery store 2 weeks ago, walked the whole dairy case with a notepad like a crazy person while my wife waited in the truck. Out of the products sitting in the section labeled butter and margarine, the overwhelming majority weren't butter at all under the legal definition. They were blends, spreads, whipped tubs with air and water folded in to stretch the volume, and products built around canola oil or palm oil with just enough cream added to legally use the word buttery on the front. 90% is not an exaggeration for effect. Go count your own store's shelf this week and tell me what number you get. I put money on it being close. Now here's the part that should make you a little angry, because I was angry when I first understood it clearly. This isn't new information. Anybody in the dairy business already knows this. The trade groups know it. The regulators know it. There was even a formal complaint filed with the FDA not long ago by a dairy industry group over exactly this kind of labeling, arguing that a plant oil spread, calling itself butter, was designed specifically to confuse a shopper who trusted the word. That complaint is public. You can read it yourself. So this isn't a conspiracy I'm inventing on a farm in Wisconsin. It's an argument the industry is already quietly having with itself, out of view of the people actually pushing the cart. Nobody sent you a letter about it. Nobody put a warning sticker on the tub. Why would they? A tub of oil and water costs a fraction of what real cream costs to produce, sells at nearly the same price as real butter, and most people never read past the word on the front. That's not a mistake in the system. That is a system working exactly the way it was built to work for the company's margins, not for your kitchen. So let's fix that this week for free, using only what's already printed on the package. Here's your test. It takes about 10 seconds per product, and you can do it standing right there in the aisle. Flip the package over and read the ingredient list, not the front, the actual ingredient list. If it says cream or cream and salt and nothing else, you are holding real butter. That's rule number 1, and it's the only rule that actually matters. If you see the word oil anywhere in that list, vegetable oil, canola oil, palm oil, sunflower oil, whatever kind, that product is not butter. No matter what the front of the package says, it is a blend or a spread, and by law, it's supposed to be marketed that way. If you see the word water listed as an ingredient, same thing. Real butter doesn't need added water. That's a spread being stretched for volume. And if you see natural flavor or buttery flavor or any flavor additive at all, put it down, because real butter from real cream doesn't need a flavor added to taste like what it already is. The second thing to check is the milk fat percentage. And most companies print this somewhere on the package because they're required to. Real butter, by law, has to be at least 80% milk fat. A lot of the European-style butters run higher, 82, even 84%. And that extra fat is exactly why they taste richer. That's not marketing, that's chemistry. More fat means more flavor and a better melt. If a product's fat content is sitting well under 80% while still using the word butter loosely on the front, in most cases you're looking at a spread that's technically labeled correctly somewhere in small print, but is doing everything in its power to make you think otherwise at a glance. The third check, and this one takes half a second, texture straight out of the fridge. Real butter's hard and a little brittle cold. You need to let it sit out to spread it easily. If a butter comes out of the refrigerator soft enough to spread straight from the fridge onto toast, that softness is almost never an accident. It's oil doing what oil does, staying liquidish at fridge temperature in a way pure milk fat does not. Convenient for your toast, sure, but it's telling you something true about what's actually in the tub, whether the label wants you to notice or not. Now, because I promised you something useful and not just something to be mad about, here are 5 brands, real ones, that I checked personally, ingredient list and all, that still meet the actual legal standard, cream and salt, nothing hiding in the fine print. Kerrygold, out of Ireland, is grass-fed cream and salt, full stop, and it runs a higher milk fat percentage than most American butters, which is why it tastes noticeably richer if you've never tried it. Land O'Lakes, in their plain stick butter, not their spreadable tubs, not their with canola oil version, just the classic stick in the gold and blue wrapper, is cream and salt, exactly the way it's always been. Cabot Creamery out of Vermont, a farmer-owned cooperative, same 2 ingredients, and they'll tell you proudly which of their farms the cream came from if you look them up. Tillamook out of Oregon, dairy country through and through, their standard butter is cream and salt with nothing added. Though like anywhere, check the specific tub because companies do put out flavored or whipped versions alongside the real one. And Challenge Butter, farmer-owned since 1911, West Coast dairy, same simple ingredient line, cream and salt, no shortcuts. Every one of those 5, I checked the actual current ingredient panel before I said their name to you, because I am not going to stand here and tell you to trust a brand I haven't verified myself. That's the whole complaint I have with the industry, so I'm not going to turn around and do the same lazy thing to you. I want to widen this out for a minute because a tub of fake butter isn't really about butter. It's about how many places in your kitchen this exact trick is being played. And once you see it in one aisle, you start seeing it everywhere. Real maple syrup versus corn syrup with maple flavoring, sitting on the same shelf, same size bottle, same color. One costs 4 times the other, and only one of them ever touched a maple tree. Real Parmesan versus a green can of Parmesan cheese product that's allowed to contain wood pulp as an anti-caking agent under the legal limit. Real vanilla extract versus vanilla flavoring. Same brown bottle shape, one made from actual vanilla beans, soaked in alcohol for months, the other made in a lab in about an afternoon. Somebody, somewhere in every one of those product categories, found the exact legal line and built a cheaper product to sit right on top of it, wearing the real thing's clothes. That's not paranoia. That's just paying attention to how the food industry has operated for the last 50 years, one aisle at a time, one shopper, in a hurry at a time. Here's what I want you to do, and it costs you nothing but a little time on your next grocery trip. Walk into your butter aisle and read the ingredient list on every single product before you put one in your cart. Not just the one you always buy out of habit. Count how many actually say cream and salt and how many say oil, water, or flavor. I'd genuinely like to know what number you land on in your own store because mine wasn't close. And I want to see if that holds up across the country or if my grocery store is just an especially bad example. If you find a real one, a genuine cream and salt butter I didn't mention today, put the brand name in the comments because I know there are good regional dairies out there I haven't tried yet, and I'd rather build a real list with all of you than pretend I've already found every honest producer in the country. And if you check your own fridge right now and find out what you've been spreading on your toast for the last 5 years isn't actually butter at all, I want to hear that too. Don't be embarrassed about it. That's exactly the reaction the label was built to get out of you. Next time, I want to walk you through the exact same trick playing out in your egg carton because cage-free, farm fresh, and natural are 3 of the least regulated words allowed on a food label in this entire country. And the picture of the red barn on the front of that carton is doing more work than almost anything actually inside it. I'll show you the 2 or 3 words that actually mean something legally and the half dozen that mean absolutely nothing at all. Until then, read the back of the package before you trust the front of it. And remember, if a farmer wouldn't recognize it as food, it probably isn't.